I think that as long as the data keeps improving and the news starts improving, the reopening is successful, I think we keep sneaking higher, Pete.
Mm.
I've always said to you, it's either going to be a second leg down driven by things like, a second wave problem or a more serious economic collapse than we were thinking. But by the way, mate, the interesting thing I think is that the JobKeeper number, when they were expecting 6 million people to be on it, it's only 3 million. I instantly wrote on Monday that this has to be a plus for the economy,
Mm.
and particularly bank stocks. Because remember, the banks went down when they put a
Yes.
big provision in for a very scary scenario. Well, the scenario is becoming less scary. Therefore, that's why Westpac was up 6%. And by the way, in the parallel is in America overnight, the same kind of thing's happening because the reopening is actually giving a bit more confidence to the economic forecast going forward. And Goldman Sachs was up 16% overnight.
Well, but it's not even the bank. I mean, yeah, the banks had a very good day yesterday, Pete. But the travel stocks have surged. You would assume that was coming on the back of news that the economy is starting to open up again and people are going to get out and travel. But you had Flight Centre and Qantas, Sydney Airport. They all went north very well yesterday.
Yeah, Webjet was another one, and I've got to say, happily, I kind of predicted this. It was in a number of my publications, but I kept saying, if you buy these now, you might have to wait 6 months before international travel is looking better in 2021. The market really has taken the positivity around reopening the economy a lot stronger than I expected, and the rebounds come a bit quicker than I expected. But there's still more upside, I think, as we get more and more closer to better international travel late this year. That's when I go again.
What about the speech yesterday from the Prime Minister, his JobMaker program? He's trying to bring the unions and business together, something that hasn't been done attempted to be done, even successfully, for many decades now. What sort of confidence might this give the markets, and how do you see this playing out?
Yeah, I don't think the market essentially has reacted to that immediately, but I think the chances of actually achieving something this way is better than the work choices way. I actually saw Kevin Andrews under the Howard government announce work choices in Melbourne back in I guess it was about 2006 or so, before the Kevin Rudd election win. And I just could not believe. I actually asked Kevin Andrews, who was Industrial Relations Minister, how will the unions accept work choices? He said, I think they'll pretty well cope with it. And he was totally wrong. So. And you can't talk industrial relations nowadays unless you bring up work choices. So I think it's a clever political move to try and get the unions together with the government to try and come up with something much better to raise productivity for the future of the economy.
Does that lead into the debate and the arguments and conversations about tax reform?
Yeah, I think that will definitely be put on the table as well. If you're going to be trying to ask certain groups of people to make compromises to raise productivity, you're probably going to have to ask for a better and fairer tax system. And remember this, the GST was not really favoured until great income tax cuts were added to it. That's when the country said, yeah, I think we can live with this 10% GST.
Well, the states have got to play their role in this too. I mean, there's already talks that, the New South Wales Treasurer at least is looking to abolish stamp duty in favour of land tax. I mean, is that something that could help? I mean, and then is there payroll tax, other regressive taxes as well that economists see as being a waste of time?
Yeah, look, I think if we can get out of this coronavirus crash as well as we seem to be at the moment, I think there will be a lot of accommodation when it comes to the kind of reforms that were totally hard to sell are going to be a lot easier to sell if unemployment still is up 7 or 8%. I think that 10% number is going to be too big. It might be 7 or 8%. But when you've got 7 or 8% of Australians out of work, both sides of Parliament have to work towards getting a much better economy to get those people back into work.